Hello, and welcome to another episode of How Good Were They, the podcast. We look at some of football's greatest players, managers, and teams and decide once and for all, how good were they? Today, we are looking at one of the greatest nearly teams of all time, and it is the Netherlands side of 1974. Right, thoughts? You're a bit of an expert in this field, I think.
It's one of my favourite World Cups. We've written about a lot of World Cups, and the '74 World Cup is a quality one. Good football, some good stories as well, and this is the team of the tournament, even though they don't win it.
They don't win it. That is part of the narrative, isn't it? It is the what could have been. We've talked about Hungary 54 when we discussed Puskas on an earlier episode. We talked about Brazil 82 in another episode. Those teams that many regard as some of the greatest ever, but they didn't win the top prize. And this Netherlands side is arguably maybe the greatest of all not to win it. Okay. Tell us a bit about the side.
This is a side that's been building to a World Cup glory, really. They were a quality team. They played what everyone now knows as total football, a scintillating brand of football where everything was about, sort of overwhelming the opposition.
Yeah.
And they were led by the man that everyone knows too is Johan Cruyff.
Yeah, he's the star man, isn't he? And then some.
The number 14 shirt, I suppose Thierry Henry, but other than that, he is the most famous 14 of all time. Maybe Xabi Alonso for Liverpool for you. But
Xabi Alonso, yeah.
Other than that, he is number 14.
Alexander Isak.
Yeah. Yeah. He is a sort of cult figure now in football history for everything he achieves as a player and as a manager. But at the time, he just sort of oozed cool as well. They had the Adidas deal where he didn't wear 3 stripes. He only wore 2 stripes.
Yeah.
Sort of, a good-looking lad and a phenomenal football player. And alongside him was a brilliant team too. That Dutch team was fantastic. And everyone was convinced they were going to win the World Cup. And they get to the final and they don't win.
And they were playing the total football, weren't they? They're taking that brand of football, which was so amazing to see. I mean, the World Cup before, to be fair, Brazil in 1970 had played a pretty scintillating style of football. But this one, again, was, the brainchild of Rinus Michels, who was supposed to coach. But Dutch football at this time was at its peak, because 1970, Feyenoord won the European Cup. 71, 72, 73, Ajax 3 in a row. By this point, Cruyff has gone to Barcelona, isn't he? So he's an enormous, a massive figure in the sport.
A global figure.
Yeah, he's huge. And it is all eyes on them. Do you want to know their run in the World Cup?
Yeah, remind the people of the run here, because this is said if you've never watched any clips of this, go and check some out of this, particularly one moment in particular, I suppose, that people will have seen, but remind us of how they got to the final.
Okay, just before we do, though, actually, it is really interesting to know that this World Cup, 74, was their first World Cup since 1938. So Netherlands didn't even enter 50-54. They didn't qualify then, and then this is the first time they'd qualified since the Second World War, and obviously reaching the final. So it's a pretty good effort. Okay, so this is their run to the final. Starts off with a 2-0 win over Uruguay. 2-0 winners. They beat a draw with Sweden 0-0, but that's famous for what moment?
The second best Cruyff turn of all time.
Yeah, the Hal Robson Kanu turn in the first half by Cruyff there. Bulgaria, they smashed them 4-1.
Yeah.
So I think the Sweden game must have rocked them a little bit to come to get the goals in. They win the group. Then
the second group.
Yeah, second group stage, which
blows our minds.
Blows our minds. The only time I've ever seen that growing up is Champions League up until I think 2003. It used to be 2 group stages for a little bit, which was crazy. I mean, we say about now the fixtures being mad, how many games are playing, but back in 2003, I'm pretty sure they were playing even more. Anyway, that's a different point. This is where it gets good though, because they're now drawn in a group with Brazil, East Germany, and Argentina. So 2 superpowers of the game, and East Germany, who weren't known for being that great, but had a big match in that World Cup where they beat West Germany in the only time they ever met.
Yeah, this is a great part of the story. This is what makes this World Cup so interesting. It's hosted by West Germany. West Germany, of course, well, the whole of Germany was ravaged by war not that long ago, relatively speaking, 30 years previous. 10 years after the war, they win the first World Cup that they win in 1954, when we touched on and go and find the episode where we talk about Puskás, the Miracle of Bern, against all odds. They then host it, and it's a huge honour for Germany to be, welcomed back into sport in that way, and hosting the World Cup. And they face, and they're drawn with East Germany, their communist rivals. It's communism versus capitalism.
Cold War
on
the pitch.
tensions
Yeah.
at a huge peak. Their manager is an East German by birth, but he escaped to West Germany to further his career.
Helmut Schön.
Helmut Schön.
Yep.
For West Germany, and they lose the game 1-0. It's not a great game. It really isn't a great game.
We've watched it, haven't we?
Yeah, on an old video and out there. The quality's not there. But Jürgen Sparwasser scores the goal, and they win, and they beat West Germany. And the only time they ever played each other, they refused any others, and they consider themselves sort of world champions in that way because they beat West Germany. And Schön sort of is rumoured to have gone off the rails almost. He's lost it. He jacks it in, and Beckenbauer have to stand up, and the captain sort of pull the team together. And they're the team that end up facing the Netherlands in the final.
Amazing. So, fantastic story.
Yeah.
Check it out. We've written about it in the past 7 weeks in our books as well. Right. So, Netherlands beat Argentina 4-0. So they absolutely destroy them. I think it's the goal by Cruyff there. He rounds the keeper, pretty well known. They beat East Germany comfortably 2-0, and then they comfortably dispatch of the reigning champions Brazil 2-0 as well. So a pretty good 8 goals scored, none conceded in that second group stage. So they go into the final pretty, as firm favourites to beat the hosts, West Germany. But that's not how it goes down, of course. Now, in the final, they take an early lead, Netherlands, as well. I think it's a first-minute penalty, isn't it? Not second-minute penalty. Cruyff, on an amazing run into the box, gets wiped out, I think, by Bertie Vots. Neeskens, another legend of that team.
Yeah.
Another player had epitomised the coolness of the side, wasn't it? With that, got the long hair and the sideburns. He scores a penalty, but then West Germany come back and win the game 2-1. Gerd Müller scoring the winner. So, it's a crazy story of, a dominant Netherlands side, but they do get humbled in the final.
Yeah, and this is the point of them being looked at now on the podcast of how good were they, where obviously we've looked back at some of those players that we've said we're not interested in your Messis or your Ronaldos, your Pelés. We're talking about those who've got a bit of a curveball to them. And can you be considered one of the best sides in the world, as many fans will say, when you didn't win the big prize? This is as close as it gets.
Right. Shall I name you some of the players in Rinus Michels' squad?
Go on.
Right. You got players like Ali Hahn.
Good player.
Amazing player, probably maybe better known for the 78 World Cup, where he scores 2 40-yard screamers. Ruud Krol, Johan Neeskens, who you just mentioned, Willem van Hanegem, amazing player, Johnny Rep, Rob Rensenbrink, Cruyff. I mean, that's, just off the top of your head there, that's some pretty star potential in that team.
And you can see why they were able to dominate games as well, with the quality in that team, that total football. But it's perhaps what we'll come on to is that often they dominated games and perhaps forgot to score. That's what people would say. They played so well and they dominated possession so much. They didn't always put games away. They were so in control. Perhaps the goal, and that's some of the criticisms I'm sure we'll look at. People would say it wasn't the most effective football at times to win a game and kill a game off.
Not pragmatic enough.
Yeah.
Right, total football. Can you, give us a little brief explanation of what it is?
Well, it is as it says, totally dominate an opposition really in that way. Every element of the side sort of pressing, high intensity, lots of sort of attacking potential flair in the side, players working incredibly hard, and almost every part of every position on the pitch being part of an attack, every position on the pitch playing its part. It's not just, defense and attack. It's everyone is contributing to this.
It's like if someone's out of position, someone fills in, isn't it? It's like you need to be able to play in multiple positions to effectively play in a total football system.
Yeah.
You can't just be, I'm just a striker. I'm not tracking back. I'm just a striker. You have to be expected to go back, get the ball from deep, maybe fill in for someone else. The goal that they score in the final, Cruyff wins penalty. He picks the ball up. I think he's the furthest player back when he picks up the ball. The rest of the team are ahead of him. He's on the halfway line and he just runs to the centre and wins the penalty, which kind of sums it all up, really. Yeah, it's an amazing system. I think formation wise, I might be wrong. Yeah, I think it can change. It's really fluid, isn't it? I think it's 1-3-3-3. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, which sounds a bit mad now. And we do kind of see iterations of it now.
Yeah.
I'm sure
it's a lot what Pep wants to do.
I think it's what Pep maybe almost had when he was first at Barcelona.
Yeah,
it's definitely not self-football anymore. We have seen, at times, Klopp, Liverpool. You see it with, there was the Netherlands side in 2008, actually, 2008 Euros, and they were amazing. And everyone was saying total football is back. But for the same reasons, they crashed out in the quarterfinals to Russia in the end. I think it was because they didn't put the game to bed. Right. Okay. We also have, it was also kind of possession based, pressing involved, as you mentioned. Cruyff was the clear leader of the squad, the free spirit, as it were, kind of allowed to just, you do what you want to do. A bit like Messi, isn't it? You just do what you want, get the ball and just make it happen.
Or Adulterat at QPR.
Adulterat at QPR. Yeah, Messi and Durat, I'm sure they're kind of similar level. Okay, right. If you've not listened to this podcast before, I like to throw 3 curveballs at Gareth, where we reassess the narrative on these teams, or it gives us a chance to defend their legacies. So you want to hear curveball number 1?
Check it away.
Okay. Well, it's an obvious one, really. It's a no trophy problem. They didn't win. So can they really be regarded as one of the greatest sides of all time if they didn't win anything?
Yes, I think some people would definitely say they can be. We'll come on to people's comments about them later on. But it's a massive element of it. We are talking about the World Cup, which is still the biggest thing to win in football. And there's obviously only one every 4 years. And so there will be plenty of good sides that don't win it, of course. There are, like we've said, Brazil, 1982 being another one. But can you be considered amongst the greats if you didn't win it? Some people say no. That's why it was so important for Messi to win a World Cup. Or, you look at Pele's legacy, and that was built through World Cup wins. And all those other elements, England in 66, things like that. You getting over the line is such an important factor. It's part of what modern England, Gareth Southgate was ultimately, despite getting to those finals or getting deep in tournaments, failed because he couldn't get across the line.
Yeah.
So you've got to consider it a failure in that way. But much like we talked about previously with Hungary 1954, I think you can be considered a great side, Brazil 82, and still have not done it. And it's part of the mythology of football. And the joy of football in that way is that glorious failure is sometimes part of the game. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, would Netherlands 74 be regarded as great had they won it?
Yeah.
Or as the defeat in the final, does that just add to their mythology?
Wales 2016.
How great, well, yeah.
Mythology for us.
Too soon.
Mythology for us where we go, oh man, had we had Ramsey and Davis, we would have got to the final.
58.
58.
Charles.
If Pele hadn't done what he did against Wales.
If John Charles was playing.
It's part of football, isn't it? That's what it's built on, and club sides will do that as well. So many sides where you go, if only that penalty hadn't been missed, if only that moment hadn't gone the other way. And football fans hang on to it because, hope is the best thing in sport, isn't it? And telling yourself that it could have, if it was only the thickness of a crossbar.
The millimetres of a Hawkeye decision on the goal line. Yeah. Right, okay. Curveball number 2, the what if. This is linked actually to their next side, the 78 team. But what if Johan Cruyff had played in the 78 World Cup? Would they have won it? Because they lost that final as well.
Yeah.
They lost it to Argentina, hosts, again, lost the host, 3-1 after extra time. So there's definitely similarity there between the hosts of West Germany and Argentina. How Cruyff played, would they have won?
It's so hard to say, isn't it?
It's the same as the last one, isn't it?
It's very difficult to say. You can say that about every single match in football, isn't it? You know, if this player hadn't played, or if this player had got sent off, whatever it may be. You would have thought, possibly so. Obviously, he's 4 years older.
I think he would have been 31, so I don't think he would have been, he past his
So that's the peak,
Yeah.
possibly. You know, his peak was 74, I think, wasn't it? He was playing
27, yeah.
He was playing incredibly well, and this is the blown opportunity, I think, against a West Germany, even though they were hosts, that were smarting, and perhaps, even though they were a good side themselves, not as good. That Argentina side, obviously South American soils, far trickier to win, or was seen as far trickier to go and win in South America.
Yeah, I think it wasn't until Germany won, was it, 2014, that a European side had won in South America.
So it's hard to say, but this is a good side, and I think this was the blown opportunity. And you can also obviously say 2010 as well, but that Spain side, quality, and they were outplayed.
The Netherlands,
they got violent,
didn't hit
stuff.
Kicks in the Alonso shot.
You know, this is the one that people circle, and it's the beautiful kit as well. I know 78 is a nice kit too, and all, you know, that
always nice kits.
You know, the mythology is those things that we said. The mythology around it is so important, and I've got a Germany kit on here, and you know, 2 of those stars for us are stars that they've taken through, like the Miracle of Bern, where we wanted Hungary to win it if we could have. And 74 probably where you want Netherlands to win it if they could have.
And you wanted Messi to win 2014 as well, didn't you?
I did. 3 of their stars.
They took it off Maradona in 90 as well. There you go.
Thanks, Germany.
Well, 3 of them are West Germany, fair. Right, okay. Number 3 then, you've touched on this one already. Beauty versus pragmatism. Did their idealism cost them in the final against the more pragmatic West Germany?
Yeah, I can't remember who the quote's from. From one of the team. You know, we just forgot to score, and there were times where they did that because you dominate so much, and you will see it with all sides now. You know, club sides, Man City at times, or tiki taka Spain sides can have 75% possession, but win a game 1-0, or perhaps even draw a game or lose a game for like a sucker punch goal. And, you know, that style of football, beautiful football, flicks and tricks, one-touch stuff, dominating, doesn't always mean you're going to win a game. It's all about, well, as Klopp's called it, you know, heavy metal football, outscoring your opponent. And sometimes that comes with conceding a couple. And that's fine if you score more. But with total football, you know, here, they only score once. They score through a penalty in the final, second minute, first minute, second minute, and then really throw it away. They lose it. And perhaps that's part of, you know, winning a tournament is built on good defense, good, as is the American phrase, of defense wins championships. It so often is. You think of some of those great World Cup winning sides. They maybe don't win it by a massive margin. The most recent World Cup was great for the final being 3-3. But, you know, on the whole, we see very tight finals, great defensive displays, bodies on the line. That wasn't the total football way.
No. And when I was reeling off some of the names earlier, I don't think maybe Ari Hahn, but I didn't name any defenders.
No, you know, no one that you remark on. Yeah.
Go and ask someone on the street, Netherlands 74. I can guarantee if it's an episode of Pointless, name the squad, I think all the pointless answers would be defenders.
100%.
Because that's not what they're known for.
If they had a Van Dijk.
If they had Van Dijk, lots of ifs and buts. I'm actually going to add a 4th curveball here, okay, which is unprecedented for this podcast, but I think it's deserved. Are we a bit, not just we, but the general football history narrative, a bit unfair on West Germany? Because I think the West Germany side of Helmut Schön is one of the greatest international sides of all time. Look at their record. 1970, they get to... Sorry, let's go back to 66. 66, they get to the final. They lose to England. 1970, they get to the semi-finals, go out in the game of the century to Italy. 72 Euros, they win it. 74 World Cup, they win it. 76 Euros, they lose in the final. That is an amazing record over 10 years. And I think sometimes because of the beauty and the coolness of Cruyff and Neeskens and or Johnny Rep, we kind of neglect just how good that West Germany side was. Because you think of some of their players, Gerd Muller, their bomber up front. What a player he was. Franz Beckenbauer, arguably the greatest defender of all time. Volkan Overath, fantastic player. Gunter Netzer, Uwe Zieler, amazing stars.
Yeah.
Surely, really, should it have been that much of a shock that they beat Netherlands in the final?
And I think, for the narrative of this podcast, even obviously when we're talking about 74, it can be easy to diss West Germany. But you're absolutely right. They were a brilliant side. And whilst I've said I'd take 2 of those stars away, I also wouldn't, because West Germany and Germany as a national team now are such an important part of football history. This is post-World War II. This is a side that in the United Kingdom, even today, to be honest, are still seen as the enemy for many people.
Yeah, I know.
For European enemy.
Yeah.
74 and particularly 54. It was even closer to, people who were fought in that war. Who were still there.
Yeah, 54 is within a decade.
It is within a decade, 9 years later. And it's not wanting to put a modern scenario on it, but, Ukraine, Russia in 9 years' time, Russia winning a World Cup or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Staggering, and people were not fans of it. And that's possibly where you take them away, and people loved the Hungary side. And then we come to 74. And they were a fantastic side. Like you said, they dominated European football. And they were good. Their clubs were good as well. And Beckenbauer is without doubt, I think, one of my favourite all-time players.
Yeah.
But
the Kaiser.
They lose to the favourites. They lose to the crowd favourites, the fan favourites. So Germany aren't that popular anyway. They're beating the fan favourites again. No one in some ways wants the host to win. You want the host to go far, but you don't want the host to win it. All that business. And so possibly they're not remembered as good as they should be. But I think if you ask people who actually saw that side play, not just watched the highlights, but saw that side play, they will eulogise about how good that Germany side would have been.
At club level, 74, 75, 76, Bayern Munich win the European Cup.
Exactly.
So it had already shifted at a club level to the Germans being the best European Cup there. Okay, 4 curveballs. Wow. You lucky listeners of this episode here. Right. Let's go on to the legacy and influence then of this fantastic side. So I think the clearest legacy that's been left is in the guise of Pep Guardiola. The total football, you mentioned it already, but the total football stylings of Rinus Michels, of course, get taken into his own management by Johan Cruyff, who is not just one of the greatest players of all time, he's also one of the greatest managers of all time, greatest innovators. He totally revolutionized Barcelona, and he had the dream team in the 90s, wins European Cup in 92, and the main disciple of Cruyff in that team is Pep Guardiola, of course, who then takes on so much of what he did from Cruyff, who did so much from Michels, put into his teams at Barcelona, and then Spain, of course, as well, under Aragonés and Del Bosque. So we see that legacy now. We hear when a team scores a great goal, oh, that's total football.
Yeah.
Oh, total football. Yeah. Even if it technically isn't total football, you still hear it. They have a strong legacy, isn't it? And
the praise that's seen as like perfection in football, isn't it, often? And I think that Dutch side were, and Cruyff, as we've talked about, and check out the video on our YouTube channel when we did like our Mount Rushmore of sportsman football.
He was on there, wasn't he?
He was on there.
He was the ultimate, wasn't he?
The ultimate, because he was probably the best player who becomes manager and like everything else, influencer in the game of all time. That's a heck of a job, to be a phenomenal player and a great manager and someone who changes the legacy of so many other sides like Barcelona. He led that, and I think that's another reason possibly why they said it's so popular in that way.
Do you know who might rival him as one of the greatest players / managers? Franz Beckenbauer.
Yeah.
He won the World Cup, didn't he, with Germany?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, possibly not as impactful in terms of a long-lasting legacy.
No, but yeah, good point. There's a lot of crossovers in this World Cup. Okay, right, let's go on to some of your opinions and what you thought about this fantastic Netherlands side. Do you want to start off?
Yeah, Mert Doyle said, magnificent. One of the greatest sides not to win a World Cup.
Yeah.
weary. Yeah.
Classic. Okay, Tom, that's the narrative. Tom Livermore says, very good. Deserved a World Cup, really, but twice succumbed to two excellent teams. So that's that fourth curveball that had home advantage, of course.
Up the Owls, very much thinking of Sheffield Wednesday with everything going on as well.
Yeah.
Not enough after losing the 74 and 78 World Cup finals, playing total football with arguably the better team. I guess Gerd Muller and Mario Kempes made the difference. So were they
Yeah.
good enough? Not in Up the Owls' opinion. Gary Thacker has linked a book,
His own book.
Yeah. But we'll give it a shout.
Fair play.
It's a good book.
Go on, Gary.
Beautiful bridesmaids. That old phrase, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And I think you can definitely say that about Netherlands.
Yeah, so he's a little plug for his book there. Beautiful bridesmaids dressed in orange. Check it out. Okay, Hendon Dave says, maybe my favourite team of all time. Challenged all the way, though, by Brazil 1970. Their beautiful total football was complemented by swagger and a willingness to be nasty if necessary. So we haven't really mentioned that, which is a really good point from Hendon Dave. It was sad West Germany stifled them in the final. Like Hungary 54, the best team in the final came second.
It's like you've seen the podcast script.
Yeah, fair play.
Not good enough to win it all from Moon Inversion as well. I think that's a fair point. It's absolutely something we're raising. If you don't get across the line, can you be considered great?
Can you be considered good enough to win it if you didn't win it? Probably not. Okay, fantastic. Let's finally hear then some opinions of others, professionals in the game. So let's start with Cruyff himself. He says, quality without results is pointless. Results without quality is boring. So make of that one what you will. Yeah. And Franz Beckenbauer says, they changed football even though we beat them. Nice. Okay, brilliant. Right, let's go on. Before we go to final verdict, actually, we're going to do the Football History Boys Book Club.
Nice.
Right, it's time for the Football History Boys Book Club. We started it on the last podcast with a fantastic book by Alan McDougall about the social history of Liverpool Football Club. This one, though, is linked to Italian football, and it is by Dominic Howam. It's a fantastic book. Veni Vidi Vici. I'm pretty sure it's like Came I Saw I Conquered, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all about the 80s and 90s, that period of time where Italian football was undoubtedly the best in the world. It was a time where we were all introduced to this world game that we hadn't really seen much of before, other than the European finals and such. And it's when the Channel 4, of course, was Football Italia, James Richardson's amazing show. And you were able to see players like Baggio, Maldini, Baresi, Ronaldo, Inzaghi. Those like fantastic players were all introduced to us for the first time. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful period of time.
Yeah, it was an absolute dominant time for Italian football, as he says. And you will not forget some of those players that existed at that time. And I think he tells it in a really good way, and he, reminds the modern football fan of just how good Italian football was, because you wouldn't consider them that now, would you, when you look at some of the state of the Italian football clubs that we see?
No, and maybe that's part of the reason why Dominic's wanted to write this book is that nostalgia of a better time.
Yeah.
And something that a lot of us who, around our age, a bit older, really resonate with, because it reminds us of our childhood as well.
Yeah, the Italian clubs were always seen as the big clubs, the hard clubs to play and to beat, and to, dominate the Champions League. Even if they didn't always win it, we're always there or thereabouts. And that's been lost slightly, but I think this is good for reminiscing on that and remembering just how good they were. They are some of the best players in the world in this period of time, didn't they?
Yeah. It's written really well as well. It's by Pitch Publishing, actually, who published our books as well, which is brilliant. It's split into great little periods of time, little chunks. He has a bit about Maradona, a bit about Baggio, a bit about the great Milan side as well, from the 80s and the 90s. And it just tells a story. And I think anyone who reads it is going to really enjoy feasting on that wonderful nostalgia. Get a cappuccino and read this book.
Only at the right time of the day.
Well, just whatever. Read the book whenever you want, but get the cappuccino at a sensible time.
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So, Veni Vidi Vici, when Italian football ruled Europe, by Dominic Howam. It goes in the book club. I hand it to you. Pop it behind you.
Put it on the shelf.
On the shelf. taking our book down. No problem. There it goes. It's on there with Juventus, Pipo Inzaghi, Clarence Zadorf as well in Milanke just below. So you can't beat it.
Love that.
Nice.
These ones, this nostalgia. Anyone wants to send us some of these, that'd be great.
Yeah, get him in. Get him in. There we are. Okay, cool. Right, last bit of the podcast then, while Gareth rearranges Zadorf, Denilson and Inzaghi. Where do we rate this team then in terms of the best World Cup sides of all time?
It's so tricky, this, because they didn't win it. And it's exactly the conversation we had with the Brazil stuff.
It is, and pretty much Hungary as well, isn't it?
And Hungary. I would put them. Tell you what, let's do those three.
Okay.
The great sides to never win it. Where are you putting them?
Oh, I gotta go with my boys Hungary first. I love the Hungary side. I think they had a better better record over time, didn't they? Only the one defeat, and they won the Olympics. I will put them first, Netherlands second, even though they did lose 78, and Brazil went out in the second round. So Brazil third.
I'd go that one.
Happy with that. Let us know. We'll do a little poll on the Spotify podcast. So vote on there which one you think is the best nearly side of all time. Okay, happy with that?
I think so. It's a good side. If you haven't watched much of them, check them out. This is a time when there's highlights, so you can go and watch.
Yeah, check them out on YouTube. And as you do that, subscribe to our channel as well at TFHBS. You can watch this podcast on there too. You can also get a hold of us on Twitter at TFHBS, TikTok at The Football Boys, Instagram at The Football Boys as well. And go to our brand new website, tfhbs.com. On there is a top 100 rating of all time for men and women. Give that a go. Vote on there because it's really good to see where some of these Dutch players, actually, a lot of them are in there. So give them a vote as well if you want. And maybe one or two of them will make our final TFH 100. Right. Is that everything?
Good for me.
All right. Check out Dominic's book again at all good bookshops, online and in store as well. And if that's everything, we'll see you again for another one very soon.